everyone, it's Michelle Caruana from Play Cafe Academy and Profitable Play. And this video is going to be a little bit different from the content that I normally post on this channel. So full disclosure, this is going to be a more personal video, but I promise you it is going to tie back into your indoor playground business. So a while back on my Profitable Play podcast, I did an episode all about how you can better accommodate autistic adults and children in your facilities. And in that 4-part podcast series, I gave so many tips and strategies and resources to help anybody visiting your space that is autistic have a much smoother experience. So in this video, I actually want to share everything that I'm packing in my airport carry-on as we get ready to fly with our autistic 6-year-old for the first time. So we're really excited, we're really nervous, but I wanted to show you this, even though it's kind of unrelated to my normal topics that I post, because a lot of the strategies that I talk about in that podcast series, I'm actually executing in real life. So if you have an autistic child and you're thinking about flying for the first time, I hope this helps you. But even if you don't have an autistic child, if you're going to be opening any business that might accommodate autistic adults or children, I think it's really important to have a look into our everyday lives so that you can be a little bit more compassionate and so that you can understand why those strategies that I talked about in that podcast series are so important and so meaningful to families like mine. So as I mentioned, it's going to be my 6-year-old's first time flying. He's going to be 7 soon. And we're actually doing this trip. We're going to South Carolina. We're doing this as a practice trip, which I know is a massive privilege that we're even able to do this. But basically, we're going to Disney in February. And last time we went to Disney, my husband had to drive my son, which was like over 24 hours. It took 2 full days and it caused him to miss school. And we're at the point where now that we've sold our play space, we really want to travel a lot more. And we know that if we can get Silas more comfortable on a plane, we're going to be able to open his world up a lot more. So we're taking this trip to South Carolina as a little bit of a practice trip. We've been to South Carolina so many times. This is one of Silas's favorite places, but again, we've always driven. So we figured that pairing a really big experience like flying on an airplane for the first time with a familiar experience like going to one of his favorite beaches, one of his favorite places that he's extremely familiar with, is going to be a lot easier for him than pairing a brand new experience like traveling on an airplane with a very intense vacation like Disneyland. So we're able to kind of spend a couple of days at the beach, relaxing. We don't have any agenda because again, we want to make sure that his first airplane experience is a smooth one or as smooth as possible. So again, I'm going to share what I packed in my carry-on to hopefully have a successful flight. Of course, I don't know if it's going to work yet because we're leaving tonight, but I wanted to document this and I wanted to share it. So again, you can have a look into our world so that you can be a better business owner, a better leader, and so you can better accommodate families like mine because you can better understand them. So again, a lot of what I'm going to show you is everything I talked about in my podcast series in practice. So I thought this was a little cool thing to do. And one more full disclosure point before I actually show you what's in my bag. I had a lot of help with this. And we've been prepping for this practice trip, literally practicing for our practice trip for months. So literally like 5 months ago, I called my son's teacher. I talked to his therapy team. I told them what was going on. And since then, they've been doing videos. They've been integrating air travel and airplane rides and some words and cues that he might need to know into his therapy sessions, into his everyday classroom activities. And they gave me a lot of suggestions. And his amazing speech therapist, her name is Denise. She's actually not his speech therapist anymore, but I'm kind of in denial about that. But she helped me plan a lot of this and she actually put a lot of this together. So I had a lot of expert help with this. And I did all the research I could. I literally spent hours and hours and hours and hours watching very similar YouTube videos to this. So again, I really wanted to create my own so that I could give back and contribute myself. But again, I wanted to give credit where credit is due. And a couple other things that we did to kind of get ready for this, in addition to enlisting his entire team of therapists and teachers, is we've been watching videos, we've been watching movies, we've been watching books, we've been singing songs, we've been looking at pictures of airports, which again, I'm going to show you. So this has been a long time coming. And I even got TSA pre-check so that he wouldn't have to wait in a long security line. Luckily, my husband already had it, but I had to, 2 months in advance, I had to go get my picture taken. I had to do an interview. I had to pay like $80, get my fingerprints done, everything like that. So a lot went into the pre-planning of this practice trip. So everything that you see here isn't the entire picture. There was a lot that went into this, a lot of steps, a lot of time in advance had to be spent. But hopefully it's all going to be worth it because again, we're going to be able to open Silas's world just a little bit more. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to show you from my bag is, I already pulled it out, is my son's speech therapist, Denise, made these little bags. So this is for play number 1. These are all brand new toys. They're toys he's never seen before, and they're plane friendly, so they're very small. They're some of his preferred activities because anytime we're doing something new or scary, we like to pair that unexpected with a preferred safe comfort activity. So this is for play number 1, and I'm going to open it. So in this bag, we have a lot of baby dinosaurs, which are his number 1 special interest. We have this cool little fidget toy. Even though he's never seen this before, like in his home environment, he does utilize this in therapy a lot. This is one of his favorite toys, and he gets really excited when they bring it out. Next, we have a very small thing of slimes to, again, give him that sensory input when we're on the plane. And then we have this cool little sensory toy. My son is a big sensory seeker. So whenever he's feeling a little scared or a little out of control of his environment, he will look for, a squeeze or a sleeve. He has a weighted vest, which we're not going to bring just for logistic reasons. But he's a sensory seeker, which I know not everybody with autism is. I just wanted to give you some context into what my son is like. Then we have this little hand clapper. Maybe not the best for the plane, but he's sure going to love it. And you know what? Sometimes you just can't care what other people think. We're going to be doing our best. We're going to be doing our darndest. And if they have to listen to a little plastic hand clapper, sorry. Next, we got a little snake. He also loves snakes, and this is like a little rubber one, which is cool. And then another fidget toy, and this little this topper spinner thing, which I thought was really cool. So this is all for plane number 1. So again, some preferred activities, some of his most favorite toys, so that he's going to see them and recognize them and get excited because he's never seen them in his home environment before, these particular toys. The next bag is play number 2 because we do have a connection, which I'm a little bit nervous about. And by the way, if you have any tips or suggestions about air travel specifically with an autistic child, please let me know. Please comment. I would love to hear it. In play number 2, we have a bag of Legos. And again, my son's speech therapist put all of this together for me. She even labeled these little bags and everything. I cannot take credit for this. Next, we have another little sensory thing, which he will be very excited about. Some different colors of these little sensory toys, which are so cute. Another little dinosaur because he loves dinosaurs. Another fidget spinner. Another spin top. And then another fidget spinner. This one's a dollar sign. This one's cute. And then some more slime. So again, I thought this was really cool. Next, we have a ton of preferred snacks. So my son's number 1 snack is Pirate's Booty. So we have a bunch of that, and we're also going to get him probably some candy at the airport. I know for a lot of kids that doesn't work and that will just make them more hyper, but Silas doesn't get a lot of candy. So if he's having a tantrum and I whip out like a Hershey's bar, even a mini one, he immediately gets excited and he starts coming down. So for us, it works. Again, I'm just sharing what works for my family. I know it's not going to be a universal thing, but I wanted to share it. And I hope this is helpful for you. All right, so next I wanted to go through some of the things that we've been using every single day for months to try to get ready for this vacation. So this is a social story. Again, something that I talk a lot about in my podcast series. So this is more of like a storybook. So there's a lot of descriptions. So my family and I arrive at the airport together. We, get our boarding passes. We unload our bags before we go inside. And it basically shows everything in a cartoon form with a description. I'm not going to read you the whole book, but this one is a little bit more descriptive and it reads more like a full story. And he's also been doing it. He's been doing this at home and at school. This is another story. So this one is called Going on an Airplane. And she just printed this out and stapled it. Again, my son's teacher did this. So this one is just another same story, same pictures almost, but just a different format. And this one has a lot of extra steps in it as well. So it talks about, what actually happens on the plane. So I think it's about like, man, it's 30 pages. So this one is a little bit bigger, it's more expansive. And again, we've been reading it for quite a while to get him ready. The next one I wanted to show is this social story series. And this one is from Kidmunicate, which is pediatric speech therapy. So again, wanted to give them credit. And this is a very similar story, but instead of cartoon pictures, this one is real life pictures. So for example, it shows like security, exactly what that's going to look like. Because again, it's all about preparing in advance. If my son knows what to expect, and not just what to expect in that moment, but what's coming next, what's coming next, what's coming after that, it really helps prevent tantrums because he can physically see the progression of the steps. And I know that he loves the beach. Again, we're going to one of his favorite places. So the end goal is always there. So he can visually see us moving from, okay, the start of our trip to the end of the trip. And at the end of the trip, he gets his big prize, which is going to the beach, one of his favorite places. And I also wanted to mention that we use social stories a lot in our family. So this is something that he's very used to. We use one for his morning routine. We use one for going to the doctor. We use one for transitioning to a new classroom. We use them quite a bit. So we did have to do some, pre-prep in that, he understands social stories in general. He knows that, this is the beginning. He can visually see, okay, we're checking things off the list. We're getting closer to that end prize, that end, satisfaction moment. So this is something that he is used to. So I wanted to show you just a couple more pictures so you can see what I mean. And it puts a positive spin on everything. So this shows an airplane taking off and it says taking off is fun. So I thought this was a really cool social story. And I usually start with cartoon pictures and then work our way up to real life pictures. Now this one is one that I'm actually going to laminate right now as soon as I'm done with this video and bring with us. So this one is kind of like an abbreviated version of the longer social stories. So for example, it says arrive at the airport, unload the car, check in at the counter, go through security, sit and wait, get on the plane. So again, it just is all of the steps condensed. And I thought this was really important because again, he can see, okay, we're checking this off, we're checking this off, we're checking this off. We're getting closer to our big destination at the end. And I'm gonna laminate this because we're bringing dry erase markers so that he can actually mark them off and see that he's getting closer to what he really wants to do. All right, the next thing I wanted to show you is, this one is another social story, but it is a coloring book. So I thought that was really cool. Silas is not big into coloring right now, but we're gonna try to color it on the plane. So as you can see, it's a social story, but he can color it. So he wasn't as interested in this one, but I thought this one was really cool as well. Now this is one that I made for him with some familiar pictures to him and with the actual airport that we're going to. So this is a social story that I laminated and he's really big into Velcro. So I made sure to actually put Velcro on the back of all of these so that he can play with them and take them off if he wants to. So we have his suitcase. This is his dad walking to the airport. This is the exact airport we're going to. This is a security counter at that airport. This is his brother sitting and waiting for a plane. Again, me and Ben, my older son, flew to Disney last time. These are pictures from that. And my son and my husband drove, my other son. Then it shows, again, an actual airplane. This is Ben, one of his favorite people in the world, sitting in an airplane seat watching a movie. And I thought it was so important to include pictures of his brother because he is very highly motivated by watching his older brother do things. And it removes a lot of his trepidation when he sees his older brother doing something. And I wanted to include his pictures for that reason. Next, I have the fact that we're going to get, in the car because we have to drive from the airport to our Airbnb. And then this is him and his brother on the beach. Again, one of his favorite places to be. And this is Silas with a crocodile at his absolute favorite restaurant. And he loves crocodiles right now. So with this social story, I let Silas decorate it. I made it with him. He loves creating things. He loves stickers and things like that. So I really wanted to make airplanes and everything travel be associated with fun and excitement and, positive experiences in his mind. So allowing him to help me with this and put those stickers on, I think really helped with that. All right, next, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but next I want to show you some of the toys that we purchased for the trip. So the first one is this. It's called Busy Activity Book, and I got this on Amazon. I think it was only like $10. It was very affordable. and it comes with this bag. So in this bag, there are dry erase markers. And then I did have to do a lot of DIY on this one. So it comes with all of these pieces cut out, but you have to put Velcro dots on every single piece. And you also have to put them in the book. So it is a little DIY. It took me probably about an hour to put all of the stickers on, but I think he's really going to love this because, again, dinosaurs are his big special interest. So just to give you a glimpse, all of these dinosaurs have the stickies on them. So I just have to find the correct bag, which happens to be this one. So he's able to, we're able to take one baggie out at a time, kind of spread them across his airplane tray, and then he can find the dinosaur that matches up with the picture. This is something that he loves doing. He loves matching. And again, I think he's going to get a lot of satisfaction from all of the Velcro. So that's one of the activities. There's also tracing activities. And again, it came with dry erase markers, which he absolutely loves. Now we have like counting and numbers 1 through 10, again, all Velcro. We have number matching. So we have these that match up with that one, which I think he's really going to like. He also really likes puzzles. This is just another match the dinosaur with the picture. There's shapes. He loves shapes. He loves colors. And this is a puzzle. So it comes with all different color, all different puzzle pieces, which he can kind of find the dot for and put together. He loves puzzles. There's also tracing activities. So again, I will link this in the video description, but I think he's going to absolutely adore this. And yeah, our flight, I think our total flight time is like 3 hours between both flights. So as long as everything goes well with takeoff, knock on wood, I think these activities are going to get us through the entire trip, but we'll see. We are bringing his iPad. I don't have it packed yet because he's actually using it as I record this video. But we don't have his, we're going to try to avoid taking out his iPad unless we absolutely have to, because one of his biggest triggers is terrible Wi-Fi. I know, like first world problems, but if the Wi-Fi is lagging or if there isn't Wi-Fi or something like that, he will get very frustrated. So we're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. So we really don't want to bring that out unless it's an emergency. This is a sticker story adventure. Again, I love that these are very lightweight. They fit in a carry-on. I have some coloring pages that his speech therapist gave to me. Again, dinosaurs. There is a theme here. This one is funny faces. She said that he really likes to use this one at school. So he can draw faces, and there's also some stickers. He's a very, very silly kid. So I think he's going to love that. Next, I wanted to show you something that I might take out if we don't have enough room, but I really want to bring it. So these are first some crayons that we got for the coloring pages. But this is a magnetic book that I also got on Amazon. So basically it opens up and has this nice little tray, and it's basically just pieces of dinosaurs that you can kind of fit together. And Silas loves doing activities like this. And he also loves like creating like dinosaur mutants. Like he likes to be really silly and put like the body of a triceratops with the T-Rex head. And he just thinks that is the funniest thing. So I really think he's going to like that. So, and again, they're magnetic, so it doesn't make as much of a mess. And it doesn't require a lot of space, which is something that I was really looking for. So I think he's going to really like this activity. But again, this one is a little bit bulkier. So I'm really just hoping that we can fit it. We're not checking any bags. So we're going to do our best. And then something that I want to mention as well, and this was something that my son's speech therapist reminded me. I also did a very similar kind of thing for my older son who doesn't have autism. So something that we're very aware of is the fact that a lot of times, even though we're not technically favoring our younger son who is autistic, it can feel like that to our older son. So when he gets all the airplane activities, when he gets, the fun storybooks, and he gets, 3 teachers instead of 1, it feels to him like he's being neglected or like he's not being favored. And that can cause him a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and it can cause him to have some lashing out and some bad behavior problems. So that's something that we're really, really working on. And we've been extremely aware of it for the last couple years. It's something that I really didn't think about at the beginning, how my son's autism affects his brother, but it's something that I really try to think about every single time we do something. How is this, not only how will this affect Silas, who's autistic, but how will this affect his older brother, Ben, as well? Because they're both people and they're both deserving of equal love and attention, even if one has a disability and needs a little bit more support in his daily activities. We never want his older brother feeling resentment or feeling left out or anything like that. And as he's getting a lot older, he's understanding a lot more. He's going to be 9 soon. So he's definitely much better than when he was like 5 or 6. And we were very new to the diagnosis and the world of autism and things like that. So we've gotten a lot better and he's gotten so much more understanding and compassionate. And now he is always the first kid to seek out people who are different, to seek out kids with disabilities. And, if another child in his class, for example, doesn't understand autism or doesn't understand Down syndrome or doesn't understand any other physical or mental disability, Ben is the first one to explain, this is why this person, spins around or flaps his arms. It doesn't make him, any less desirable to play with. It doesn't make him any less capable of being a friend. It just means that he does things a little bit differently because his body or his brain works a little bit differently. So I love that about my son. I can't say enough good things about him. But again, I did pack him a lot of surprises as well so that he can be a little bit more understanding. Because if something does go awry, and if Silas does have a tantrum or a meltdown, I know that it does impact Ben's vacation as well. So I want to be very aware of that. All right. So the last thing that I wanted to show is this is like my son's kryptonite, a new Jurassic World dinosaur. Now, this is another big one, so I'm going to have to really squeeze this in somewhere, but this is one that he's been wanting from Target for a really long time. And I know that even if this is something that we're literally only going to pull out if we absolutely have to. Because if my son is, really having a hard time, if he's struggling, and if he's to the point where he's literally seeing red and he's wanting to injure himself or others, which does happen sometimes, and because he's getting a little bit older, he's, really catching up to me in size, and it can be very difficult for me. Luckily, my husband will be there, but it can be very difficult for me to like physically keep him from injuring himself or injuring others. So when he is at that point and he is just for whatever reason very triggered, we have this, and no matter, like literally no matter what, this will immediately calm him down. And I know that might seem like, you know, giving positive enforcement for bad behaviors, but when it comes to, someone's personal safety, whether it's my son's safety or whether it's my safety or someone else's safety, we sometimes have to do what we have to do. So next time you see a parent, giving a reward or giving a toy or something like that, when their child is having a tantrum, I know you're probably going to want to judge them, but just know that especially if that child has a disability, we are doing our freaking best. And sometimes, again, we just have to do what we have to do to remedy the situation, to keep everybody safe. So this is what we have for that point. And something else I wanted to mention about that is that, there's a difference between a temper tantrum and like a sensory meltdown. And they're very different. They're caused by different things. And when my son is having, a kind of a sensory meltdown, he really can't help it. It's not because he's not getting a toy that he, really wants. It's not because he's doing an activity that's not preferred. It's because his body is physically unable to control itself. So while onlookers might think that it's a bad behavior or that the child is acting out, they literally may not be able to control it. So it is a little bit different in neurodivergent children. I'm not an expert, so I'm probably not explaining it as well as an expert could. But again, I just wanted to share my experience. So next time you travel or next time you're out at a play space or something like that, just know like this is literally, we've been doing this for months. We've been prepping, we've been getting ready, we've been researching. And I just know that, even the slightest thing, if we have to deplane or if somebody is acting erratically or if the takeoff sensation hurts his ears, which we do have gum for that. I didn't show you like our toiletries, but we do have, some medications, some gum, things like that, more snacks. But, I know that despite all of this prep work, I just have to wake up tomorrow or really in the middle of the night. I think we're leaving at like 3 a.m. I just have to know that, any slight derailment of our social stories and our plans could cause complete and utter chaos for our family, which is again why we're doing this practice trip, because there's very low consequences if something goes wrong. If for whatever reason the first flight is really, really terrible, we're only going to be a 3 hour drive from our final destination. So we already decided that, if it feels unsafe, if Silas is just not able to handle air travel, we are going to pull an audible, we're going to pivot, and we're going to rent a car and drive the remainder of the way. And again, we've explained all of this to our older son so that he understands that even though it might look a little bit different than we originally planned, he's still going to get everything he wants, right? We're still going to end up at the beach. And that's the reason why we're doing this practice trip, because if we were to have this sort of issue when we were going to Disney, that would cause a big derailment in our plans. So I just wanted to share everything that I packed to get ready for my son's first trip. And, we booked the super early morning flight. We're going to, allow him to sleep in his clothes. We're going to get him up. Hopefully he'll be, a little bit more docile in the morning. Hopefully he's a little bit more relaxed. We're going to get some of his favorite foods. And we're just really going to hope for the best. And I will update you guys when we get back. But I just wanted to show you this glimpse into our world. I know it's going to look different for every single parent that has a disability or has a child that has a disability. But whether or not you have an autistic child or whether or not you're autistic yourself, I wanted to give you this glimpse into our world so that, again, you can be a better business leader, so that you can be more compassionate and understanding of your customers, and so that maybe you can implement some of these strategies, like having a bin full of sensory toys, like the ones I showed you in the little bags, having social stories available on your website, having a video tour available on your website, training your staff in what all of these tools mean and what they do and how they can better accommodate people. That's why I wanted to put this video together, even though it was a little bit of a departure from our normal content. And I also wanted to show you something that I always have out of my phone 24/7, so that if my son does have a communication breakdown, I don't consider him nonverbal or non-speaking anymore. I used to consider him non-speaking when he had like less than 10 words, but now he does have a lot more words. So we're just kind of in a communication delay right now. He definitely isn't speaking in full sentences yet. And whenever he is overwhelmed or in a new situation or is having a meltdown, his communication kind of goes out the window. He really can't find the words to tell us how he's feeling, what he needs, what he might be scared of or what's hurting him. So I also have an app on my phone called Sounding Board. It's a free app and it has all different categories. So it has, please stop, tell me more, awesome, I like that, I don't like that. It also has, all of his movies that we've downloaded on his iPad. So he can actually point to a picture if he's having trouble communicating or if he's a little bit overwhelmed. This is a way where he can still find ways to communicate or let us know, what he needs. So for example, if he needs to use the bathroom, if he would like more of something, if he needs help, he knows exactly where this app is, on my home screen. He knows to open it. He knows how to navigate to all of the different areas. And again, this comes from us practicing this in our daily lives. This isn't something that we did just for this trip. It's something that we use all the time. But again, I wanted to share this with you and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope it gave you some ideas on how you can better accommodate autistic people or people with disabilities in your play space. So again, if you have any suggestions or any comments or anything I missed, again, I'm not quite done packing my bag yet. We're also bringing, like I said, his iPad, his headphones, and things like that. If you have any comments or suggestions though, please, I would love to know. Because even if I don't see it before our first plane takes off, I will see it before we come back from our vacation if you're watching this video as it gets released. So again, I really appreciate you watching this. I hope you found it valuable and had at least one takeaway from it. And again, I would love your suggestions in the comments, or you can message me on Instagram. And if you're dying to know how it went, I will be updating everything on my Instagram stories. So my Instagram is just at It's Michelle Caruana. That is linked in the video description as well. But wish us luck, and I will see you on the other side.